I turned 84 this year, and if I'm being honest, there are a few things I wish someone had told me when I hit 70. Back then, I thought I was doing fine, kept my old habits, didn't see a reason to change. But over time, I started feeling older faster than I should have. I blamed age for all of it. Turns out, age wasn't the only reason. When I retired, I was 68 at the time. I thought, okay, now I'll rest. I'd worked my whole life. I was a shop supervisor at a manufacturing plant in Ohio for over 30 years. Physical work, long days. And I figured my body had earned a break. My wife Ruth and we'd sit on the porch more, sleep in, eat whatever we wanted. I thought that was the reward. That was the plan. By the time I hit 72, 73, I was slower. Foggy some mornings. My back ached more than it used to. I figured, that's just 70s stuff. That's what happens. The doctor didn't tell me I was sick, so I just accepted it. But looking back now, I wasn't just getting old. I was making it harder on myself. There's a difference, and I didn't see it then. The first thing I should have stopped was sitting most of the day. I'm not talking about exercise like you'd see in some TV commercial. I'm not talking about running or lifting weights. I just mean I stopped moving much. After I retired, I'd sit in that recliner most of the morning, watch the news, have my coffee, maybe walk to the mailbox, and that was about it some days. I remember one winter, I must have been around 74, and I realized I hadn't really walked more than maybe 2 or 3 blocks in a week. The cold outside was part of it, but part of it was just, I'd gotten comfortable not moving. And my legs, my joints, they started feeling stiff all the time. I thought that was normal too. What changed it for me was my neighbor Carl. He's a few years younger than me, still walking his dog every morning, couple miles easy. And one day he asked me to come along. I almost said no, but I went. And the first few times it was hard. My hips were tight. I got winded faster than I expected. But after a few weeks of just walking, not far, maybe 30 minutes, I started sleeping better. I started feeling less stiff when I got up in the morning. Nothing dramatic, but real. That was the first thing I changed, and it helped more than anything else. The second habit was the way I was eating, or really the way I'd stopped caring about it. Ruth did most of the cooking our whole marriage. Good meals, balanced. But after she moved into the care home in 2019, I let that go. I was eating whatever was easy. Frozen meals a lot. Canned soup, toast and butter. Sometimes I'd have pie for dinner and think, well, at this age, what does it matter? My daughter came to visit once and opened my refrigerator and got quiet. She didn't lecture me. She just said, "Dad, there's nothing in here." And she was right. I had condiments and not much else. The problem wasn't just nutrition. It was that I'd stopped caring about feeding myself properly. There's something about cooking a real meal, even a simple one, that keeps you connected to yourself. When I gave that up, I didn't realize I was also giving up some routine that mattered. I started cooking again. Real simple things. Eggs and vegetables in the morning. Soup I made from scratch. Not because someone told me to, but because I remembered I used to enjoy it. And within a few months, I had more energy in the afternoons. My thinking felt sharper. I'm not going to overstate it, but it made a real difference. Third thing, and this one's harder to admit, I was pulling away from people without knowing that's what I was doing. After Ruth went into the care home, I pulled back from everybody. I told myself I just liked quiet. And I do like quiet. But there's a difference between choosing quiet and avoiding everybody. I wasn't going to church much anymore. I'd stopped calling my old work friends. My kids called me, but I'd keep those calls short. I didn't want to be a burden, that was part of it. And part of it was just going out felt like effort, and effort felt like too much. I had weeks where the only person I spoke to face was the grocery store cashier, and I didn't register that as a problem. I thought I was doing fine. What changed it was my grandson. He started calling me every Sunday afternoon. He's in his 30s, lives in Colorado. And those calls, he just talked to me like a regular person. Ask what I'd been watching, tell me about his week. And I found myself looking forward to Sunday, more than I'd looked forward to much. That small thing, one weekly call, started making me want more of it. I called my sister more, started going to a Saturday morning breakfast at the church just to be around people. I didn't need a crowd, but I needed some connection. I'd been running low on it for years without understanding why I felt so flat. I want to stop here for a second and say, and this might sound strange, but around age 80, I kind of realized I've been spending the years after 70 waiting. I don't exactly know what I was waiting for. Maybe waiting to feel ready for something. But I was sitting at the edge of my own life, if that makes any sense. Just watching it go by from the chair. And I don't think that did me any good. I think you have to stay in it, even at this age. The fourth thing was sleep, but not what you'd expect. I was sleeping too much and sleeping at the wrong times. After I retired, I'd nap in the afternoon, sometimes 2-3 hours. Then I'd be up late at night. My sleep got all scrambled. I'd wake up at 3 in the morning and not get back to sleep. Then I'd be tired by noon and nap again. The whole thing just cycled. I didn't think of this as a problem. Getting older means sleeping differently, right? That's what I assumed. But I noticed I was mentally slow in a way that bothered me. Forgetting things I shouldn't forget. Having trouble concentrating when I read. I love to read. And suddenly I'd be reading the same paragraph twice and still not remembering it. I talked to my doctor about it. Took me a while to bring it up because I felt embarrassed, like I was complaining about nothing. And he said, look, the napping is probably wrecking your nighttime sleep. He wasn't harsh about it, just matter of fact. So I cut the naps, or at least I cut them down to maybe 20 minutes if I really needed one. It took probably a month to reset, but my nighttime sleep got better. I started feeling more present during the day. That word present sounds strange coming from me, but that's the only way I can describe it. I was just more there. The fifth habit, this last one, was the way I talked to myself inside my head. I don't mean I was down or struggling. I mean I'd gotten into this habit of writing things off before I tried them. Oh, I can't do that anymore. That's for younger people. My knees won't allow it. I'm too old for this. I said these things to myself constantly, and most of the time I hadn't even tried the thing I was ruling out. My son-in-law asked me once if I'd want to go fishing with him at this lake about an hour out. And before I even thought about it, I said, "Oh, I don't think so. It's too much for me to get around out there." And he looked at me kind of surprised, like, "Dad, I wasn't asking you to go hiking, just fishing, sitting in a boat." And I went, and it was fine, easy actually, and I had a really good day. And I thought, how many times have I said no to something before I knew what it actually was? That was a habit, that automatic no, and it was shrinking my days. I can't say I've fixed this entirely. I still do it sometimes. But now I at least notice when I'm doing it. And sometimes I push back on myself. Not always, but sometimes. And that's enough. I'm 84 now. I live alone, but I manage pretty well. I drive myself to my appointments. I cook my own meals. I walk most mornings, not far, maybe a mile and a half, but I do it. I read every day. I talk to my kids and grandkids regularly. I'm not going to sit here and tell you I feel like I'm 60. That would be a lie. Things hurt. I forget names sometimes. There are days I move slow. But I feel like myself, which for a while there, in my mid-70s, I wasn't sure I still did. My thinking feels cleaner now than it did at 75. I don't know exactly how to explain that, but there's less fog. I enjoy my mornings more. I like cooking breakfast and listening to the radio. Those small things feel like enough, and I mean that honestly, not as some kind of resignation. I'm not trying to tell anybody else what to do. I don't think I'm qualified for that. These are just things I found out the hard way, over years, mostly by feeling bad enough that I finally paid attention. If you're somewhere around 70, maybe some of this sounds familiar. Maybe none of it does. Everybody's different. But I'll say this. I spent too long assuming that how I felt was just the result of getting old, and nothing could be done about it. And some of it was age, but some of it was me. And knowing the difference, even this late, that turned out to matter. I'm not sure what else I'd say. Just that the years after 70 don't have to feel like you're only going in one direction. I thought they did. I was wrong. That's all I wanted to say.